Hello, and welcome to Swabhimaan's very first edition. Swabhimaan is an e magazine which is based on the themes of gender and entrepreneurship. The team aims at publishing stories and interviews in a monthly e magazine which gauges, interprets, understands, and reports the current trends around gender mainstreaming in entrepreneurial initiative from the organized as well as the unorganized sector. Each month, we pick a new industry to explore, which becomes the center for the month's theme. This month, we have chosen the theme which is Made by Hand, which looks upon the industrial sector of textile and fashion. Under this initiative, today we have Mrs. Harshita Chandra. She is the founder of UpcycleLuxe. UpcycleLuxe is an emerging enterprise that is all set to redefine luxury fashion by creating an ethical, sustainable, and eco efficient textile and apparel industry. The company believes that eco friendly products should reflect sustainability in their value. Thank you so much for joining us today. Moving ahead with our very first question. Ma'am, we wanted to know that how did you come up with the idea of Upcycle Lux and what work does the company or the enterprise delve into?
Thank you, Samiksha. Thank you for having me on this platform, and it is my pleasure to be here. It's been a long journey for me, for not only for Upcycle Lux, for getting into the industry. So I'll tell you about the entire journey, how I indulge myself into the entire fashion industry. I'm an IT engineer and turned fashion technologist. Um, and this particular tag which I have obtained myself into the entire journey was not hard for, was like really hard for me to impress my parents about it, because the background which I am coming from is entirely white collars and hardcore administration. So to impress my family towards me getting involved into fashion industry was something which was really new for my family. But then I pull it off like really well. And while into the industry, I saw a change coming from the corporates to a labor-intensive industry. Here in the fashion industry, you had to work a lot towards building a particular supply chain, and then one person is doing everything. And I have worked with the domestic brands as well as export houses as well as the international ones as well. So the entire supply chain of all of them in the fashion industries are the same. It's nothing different. So it was back then when I decided, when I was in one of the renowned export houses, and then I saw they were not mindful about their consumption as well as the kind of wastage the export houses were producing during that time, and then they were getting dumped onto the landfills. And that's when I decided to let's come up with an idea of a creation of a brand wherein I can use the factory waste in converting them into bags and accessories. I did few of the capsule collections for few of the renowned brands of India, and that took me like a great learning process and collaborating with brands as to understand the sustainability part of it, wherein I was converting the wastage into something which was useful and upcycling. Basically, I was upcycling these bags and accessories. During my journey and the entire process which I was getting through, from the procurement of the raw materials till the execution part of it, from the designing thinking and then designing a particular product, there was something which was not achievable, that was in terms of transparency, because the industry worked like that. They were not habitual about creating something which is sustainable. And that's when I decided that this particular journey is not going to get held alone. I have to collaborate with people along. I have to build up a community wherein they can come together and push the entire sustainable part of it together. That's when UpcycleLuxe was born. And UpcycleLuxe created a fashion tech e-commerce platform for sustainable luxury brands, homegrown label basically, wherein you can see these products. They are made out of organic, eco-friendly, and then the products, and then the brands that are not being focused and the Indian consumers don't know about them. So we are putting them together on one platform and putting the face together to the consumers. Besides that, we have also driven out technology and integrated technology on our website, that is sustainable science-based target solutions, wherein we are calculating the impact of each garment in terms of carbon emission, water saving, and energy saving. So here, if you visualize entire website would be like, if you're going to one garment, and you're seeing a particular garment, you will be able to see what kind of carbon emission was extracted in producing this particular garment, water saving and energy saving. So holistically, we are catering to a client where they are able to get organic products, basically fashion products into garments, because our fashion industry is the second most polluting industry in the entire world. So this was one initiative where I have to put it across that I have to be a benchmark in terms of creating SOPs where there was no SOPs in the industry. So that's when UpcycleLuxe born, and then the kind of responses we have got from the industry is overwhelming for us, and then the kind of brands they are getting responses, it's going to be overwhelming response for us and really challenging journey.
Ma'am, since you mentioned about the pandemic in the early conversation, we would like to know that how did the pandemic affect the working of Upcycle Lux? Like, what were the challenges you faced during the pandemic, and how are you trying to cope up with it?
Yeah. So, pandemic in general, if at all you see the kind of organizations we are associated with right now, so we are almost like a semi big company, like to have the collaborating brands, and then share the brands has shared their ideas with us, and then how they are coping up with the pandemic. So we were having a very like a casual discussion amongst few of the founders before this session. So they mentioned that the pandemic has actually took the entire business 5 years back, especially in the garment industry, and they have to churn the entire procedure again. Their definition of these strategies has been redefined now, and they have to see the entire picture differently as to what they were doing before in the industry. And especially the small scale businesses whom we have got collaborated with, the homegrown labels are the ones who have suffered a lot in that kind of procedures. I'm sure like everybody has got affected, but then small scale industry, they tend to shut down because there was lack of funds into them. They were having no money, there were no labor behind them to work with them. So they have to work really hard to at least sustain their businesses into the industry. But for us, it was quite positive. And then for the entire community, it was kind of positive because, as I mentioned, that we are growing each day, we are getting challenges each day. But then our conscious consumption in terms of the money as well, what we are making, and then since because we are already digitally occupied ourselves into that zone, uh, and consumers being able to understand what's conscious mean has sustained our businesses so far. I'm talking about the international as because Upcycle Lux is a global platform which we are catering to. India market, yes, we are getting responses steadily. It's a slow process, but then we are very positive about we're going to be there in your future. But internationally, we have got overwhelming response. Like people know about it, what sustainability means. And that's why the pandemic we have sustained. And also one thing, like sustainability is not something which is very new for us. It's been there forever. It was there in our roots, Indian roots especially. We have seen our moms recycling a product, or maybe you have seen that kind of mopping cloth. Your t-shirt is being torn, and then we have seen that. In every household we have seen that. We ourselves does that all the time. So just that a word sustainability has come into the picture, because it is such kind of a trend as to what people are considering it. But then we were always there. We know our responsible consumption. It was just that there should be a little bit of mindfulness as to what you're purchasing on the first go, and rest is like good to go. So pandemic so far, it was challenging, but then it was a great learning for us. And then we have just changed our entire strategy about how to go ahead, because we are still in the middle of the pandemic and we don't know what's ahead us. So yeah, it was pretty okay for us the entire year.
Really glad to hear that, ma'am, that UpcycleLuxe was able to consciously and sustainably get through and cope up with the pandemic. So, moving ahead, I just wanted to know and really intrigued that please tell us about your role at the company and how does a typical day look like at the office?
Okay, so I start my day really early. I wake up at around 6:30, and then do my like daily courses to go hit the or maybe like go for a walk or something. And by 10, I make sure that I go to my office. We don't have an office because since we are into a work from home culture, so I have my own study here. And then, so the first thing which I do before getting involved in any kind of a meeting into the entire day, I make a list of my to-dos as to what our engagements are, because that's what the team is going to get worked. So we are a like really small team. I have 10 people in my team, and those are good, powerful women out there, and few of the men as well. One graphic designer we have, and then but then rest of them are women. So the entire procedures which I indulge myself into, the gratitudes, yes, that's there. And then other portion is the to-do list, what we are going to do the entire day, from the segments of the graphic designing, digital social media marketing, strategy making, the packaging. So the entire supply chain and the department which we are catering to right now is being focused on, and then we are just building up, and then that's kind of the to do in the morning. And that's when this is decided, we tend to get indulged into the another meeting stuff with the other colleagues of mine. So pretty much the regular process, because we are into our initial stages and building up through the startup. That's more paced business environment would be like.
Ma'am, earlier in the conversation, you mentioned that Upcycle has been able to get an overwhelming response from international companies and partners who would want to collaborate with the company for its sustainable choices and usage of different kind of products in the whole service. So I wanted to know, how did you bring these new companies to work with you and collaborate with you, and how has the whole process been like?
Yeah, so thank you for it. It was such a like I was hoping for this kind of a question from you, because the first break which we got was from the UN Women actually. So UpcycleLuxe was selected with the industry program of United Nations Women's in collaboration with two schools Berlin. So that's when we took our consideration to sustainability. So this was amongst so we were amongst 80 companies across the country who got selected into sustainability, and we got like good exposure between the India market as well as the international. Here, I met a lot of organizations who were already into sustainability from more than a decade, and then they have done great work. They were into the craft cultures clusters as well, and then they were doing handlooms, they were doing organic cotton, they were manufacturing products out of cork and whatnot. So that is when we got introduced to them, that we were creating an aggregator platform for these, specifically for these kind of products, wherein we are actually calculating impact as well, which the normal consumers are not aware of. Even the brands today are not aware of that what they are actually consuming or they're manufacturing, what exactly is the impact on the environment or maybe on the entire industry. So they quickly, we were having our deck ready, the brand deck ready, and then we just shoot it across to their brands, and then they resonated up so quickly with us that, this was it, that was the requirement, and this was the gap between the industry, which you are able to measure it and then delete it and further the gaps. So we tend to we didn't took a lot of time in getting connected with these brands because they resonated with the entire project so quickly, and that was the need of the market as well in the sustainable industry. So we have got the best of the best brands of the industry currently. So one of the brands was Doodle Age. If at all you see it around on the internet, that you'll see that they are always there in the industry, and then they have done recycling, upcycling, reusing of the product from almost a decade, and their work has been acknowledged everywhere across the nation as well as international. So yeah, so this was something which was quick, and which didn't make me stay a little or think twice that as to what I was getting involved with. So it was, yeah.
So, ma'am, you're in the market with so many brands and companies, but not all of them will be able to have like a sustainable kind of a processing or kind of products that they have. So, a customer normally gets very confused as to what product they should go for, because it should be affordable and be in their price range if they're going for any kind of a product that they want. But they kind of get stuck in this whole balance between a sustainable choice, a conscious choice, and a more trendy and attractive choice that might be of their price range. So, I mean, this whole debate, which is fashion versus price versus ecological concept. So, what, according to you, is the most helpful thing about Upcycle Luxe, which helps customers make the conscious choice?
Um, so here, what I call is we indulge ourselves into quality and not quantity. It's about cost per wear. So as in, you have to consider the value of a piece in relationship with the times you wear that product. For example, if you are buying a product of rupees 5,000 and then you are wearing that product for almost an year for 5 times, then the price in itself becomes 500 of that product if at all you calculate that way, and so on and so forth. So that is our ideology is like. I understand the ecological part of it, that sustainable, as from the consumer's perspective, that sustainability is expensive. And that is what we are trying to break down in terms of the consumers understanding that it's not expensive if at all you calculate in such a fashion, wherein you will have to understand. So what happens if at all you are going to a fast fashion brand, you are grabbing that style because it's very, very cheap, or maybe it is for $100 or maybe $300. You are wearing it for once, not even like twice, or maybe twice or maybe thrice, not more than that, and then you're discarding it, and so on and so forth. This is the process for each fast fashion brand. We are actually breaking that myth. We are creating a space where you have to indulge yourself into quality, understand the fabric, understand how it was made. Here, fast fashion brands do not tell about how a particular product is being made because the production is high. It is a labor intensive industry. The laborers are not getting paid as per their requirement. They are really less because the production rate are really low. So the consumer has to understand, have a quick understanding that if a particular product is 100 rupees, and how this 100 rupees will be divided into the entire supply chain. What kind of money are the laborers going to make? They're going to make nothing out of it. In sustainable garments, on the other hand, we tend to make sure that our labor and our entire supply chain is being are done ethically, and that's when the entire garment become a little expensive. It's not very expensive at all, you ask me. It's little expensive as to what the fast fashion is catering to, but then it is worth buying because it is organic, it is good for your skin, it is breathable, it is stylish, it is with the generation Z and Y is accepting it. And I mean, you have to like count the perks out of it, and there are innumerable. There are many perks as to get switched to sustainable garment.
I think that's quite enlightening for
Yeah.
a lot of people. And when people will get to hear this whole interview, I think a lot of people will be able to learn what kind of choices, what kind of sustainable and conscious choices they can make in the future. And thank you so much, Harshita, for just getting us into
I'm
the whole.
sure.
I mean, there was so much new for me also to learn with the whole conversation. So, ma'am, from what I gathered was that you have an all-female staff working at UpcycleLuxe, which is honestly is very empowering. And I just wanted to know, and we're really curious to, know what are the advantages and what are the disadvantages of having a female workforce.
No disadvantages. I love working with women because it is phenomenal. I feel, and my only call was initially whenever I recruit like a candidate, maybe a women candidate or maybe male candidate, it's not specific, but then I drive towards, my energy drives towards women because I want responsible people, and that's what's there inside us. If at all you see yourself, you'll be responsible about the work which you are doing, and then the energy which you put onto that work, it's phenomenal. So that was my entire focus was because women tend to, in traditional practices, they tend to involve into household activities, and then they were so confined on those four-wall houses that they have to perform certain activities. But today they are participating in all sort of activities. They are outrageous, they're bold, they are patient and intelligent, and of course they are great planners. So my team, especially, like most, I think almost everybody is responsible about their work. They tend to tell me, Harshita, you are lacking here, you have to gear up. So because the entrepreneurial journey is so challenging, there are times that you don't feel like working. They're like, where are you going ahead, and is it like we are making something which is fruitful? So these kind of challenges comes onto daily life. So you have to just grab the entire energy, put yourself out there, and then you have to stand up for yourself. Like, no, you have to do it. And these women out there, they are just challenging me and then asking me, you have to stand up, you have to like do for it. This was the entire goal which you have to achieve. So it is phenomenal. And of course, women, my I always seek because they have got like strong social networking power. And the best part, they've got strong intuition, that gut feeling of a woman. If at all you yourself identify that you are getting that kind of energy and a gut feeling that this is not going to work and this is going to work, and that actually happens. So here we are making a huge energy ball which resonates with Upcycle Lux as well as a team as a whole, where the entire environment is really, really positive and fast paced as what I require. And this is like a like a Bonvita drink in the morning that you get that dose of energy, and then I'm good to go for the day.
Like has this amazing sustainable the whole impact that you're making with the whole the initiative, but it's also power packed with these energetic female workforce that you have. And it's so good to hear that there are people out there who are working with so much efforts and energy, working for a a conscious environment in society. So it was great to hear. And I think I have a follow-up question for the same thing, because there are a lot of women around the world who have this distinct kind of a balance in their professional and personal or probably family lives. A lot of them are trying to balance out both of them. So I wanted to know, what is your take on this? Like, how do you see this whole balance in any of the women's lives?
Samisha, I think all women wants to be independent at some point of time. It is irrespective of the age or marriage or any engagement that they are indulging themselves out. This is what my learning, what I have seen in my particular circle. So I'll tell you, there was an before and after for me, because when I was in my college, so I was into or maybe in my corporates, while I was working. So I was surrounded by these ambitious women, highly, heavily ambitious women. They were only working for 9 to 8 or maybe 9 to 9, 9 to 12, and they were only talking about work between us. But once those girls got married and their entire journey of being ambitious changed a little bit, because I think women are really soft by nature. and they think about their family, their kids, their entire positions, whatever their circumstances. So even if at all they want to do something in their life, they resist themselves of not doing it because of the pressures or the external forces that's coming up. The women that survive for their independence is only women who have a clear vision as to what they have to achieve, and then they balance out the external forces. So there are two categories where I see every woman has got that prospects in them that they want to achieve a lot of things in their life, but then their thoughts are not being clear, their visions are being dismantled somewhere or the other. But uh, but the way they're balancing out every day, especially the working ones, it is I think it is phenomenal. They're working. I have one of my friend, maybe, or she's the co-founder of a brand whom we are collaborated with, and she was telling me the other day about her entire story. She got married really soon when she was in her 20s, and and she was a very ambitious female. And then today, if at all you see her entire journey, and then she established such a successful brand, and it has gone international. And then the support of the family matters here when you are indulging into an institution where it is the involvement of the family as well. Your better half and then the entire family also helps you out to get through. But if at all it's there, it's here, it's in the head, I feel. If you are through this, and and I don't think that women are the people who are the person who can resist with something. We can do everything, I feel, if it's there in your head.
That's very true, ma'am. And I think we are so fortunate to be living in a society where women have set examples and have led the way for a lot of youth and younger generations to come to live in a secure world where women can lead and women can, encourage people and inspire people. So I think we're really thankful for people like you who are setting examples and setting standards for us to live in a very secure world where we can have that individuality to achieve anything that we wish for. So thank you so much, ma'am, for that. And moving towards the end of the interview, I just wanted to ask if there's any advice that you want to give or you want to offer to young people who are striving to enter or make a mark in the textile industry.